Excel's built-in functions. Now suppose you have to calculate the average of 200 values down a column. This would be a complex calculation and would require a long and complex formula to carry it out. Excel has many built-in functions to deal with this, many more such-like calculations. A function is nothing but a block of code that performs a specific task. These built-in functions are predefined, pre-programmed formulas that Excel has ready for you to use. These functions can perform calculations from different fields like mathematics, finance, economics, statistics, engineering, and many more. To use an Excel function, we type an equal sign in the cell, followed by the name of the function, followed by an open parenthesis, and then the argument of the function, and finally close parenthesis. What is an argument? An argument is simply extra information that we need to give the function so that it can do its job. Arguments are usually values, a value, or a list of values, but we usually use cell referencing. Now let us go to Excel and see a couple functions, a couple of the more commonly used functions and how are they used. In cell A2, we have a value 3.62. We want to find the square root of that value and place the square root in cell B2. Also, we want to find the logarithm of that value and place the logarithm in cell C2. It doesn't matter if you know what the logarithm means or not. It's just another function. So how do you get the square root? Well, simply, one way to do it actually, just click in cell C2 where you want to place that value. You put an equal sign, put the name of the function. In this case, it's just simply SQRT. Right here, it'll come up. Once you got SQ down, it'll sort of fill it for you. So you see SQRT. Now you put an open brackets, open parenthesis, and we place the argument of the function. Now remember, the argument is just value. It's just a information that you need to pass to the function in order for it to work. So the information is simply the value. So when we click on the value, we're not going to get the value in the after the parentheses. What we get is a cell reference. Okay, so after your cell referencing, you put a closed parenthesis, and then you hit, and that's going to put the square root of that value in cell is 1.9 basically. Now for the logarithm, again, an equal sign, you simply put log, open parenthesis, you give it the value as the argument, and then close parenthesis, enter, and you're going to get the logarithm in cell C2. So this is how one way of using function. We are going to look at the average and the round function. Suppose we wanted to find the average, the mean values in cells 2 through B11, and we wanted to put that average in cell B12. Type an equal sign, you write in the name of the function, which is average, open parenthesis, and then we're going to use cell referencing. So what we do is we highlight and then we close the parenthesis, enter. And the average value of the average of these values will be placed in cell B3 for us. Another way to get functions is to go up to this formula bar, and right next to it, you're going to see the FX, which is the insert function button. So you click on the FX, and the insert function box will come up. Now, in that first box there, you can write average, or you can go to recently used or select a category. And recently used, you can find it there because we just used it. Or we can simply go to statistical. And once you have statistical there, the statistical functions will come up. And here's your average. So once we highlight average, you click on next. Now the arguments will be the values for which we want to find the average. So you simply click on cell B2 and highlight down to cell B11. You give it the range B2 to B11, and then you click on insert. And we'll give you the 79.9. Now we have a group of numbers right here, some pretty messy decimal numbers. And we are going to use the round function to round them to clean two decimal places. Now, there are different ways to do that. The first way, you go over here. This is where you want to put the rounded number. Simply click on the f of x button, go to mathematical, and then you go down to round. Right here, you find round. You highlight round and click on next. Well, here you're going to give the number that you want to round. So you click on the number, you get the cell referencing here, A2. You go to number digits. This is how many decimal places you want. You put 2. And that's it. You click on insert. And you're going to get 0.59, which is this number rounded to 2 decimal places. And of course, to get the other numbers rounded, you're going to highlight this one, go down to the bottom right corner and double click. And here you're going to get the other numbers, all of them rounded to 2 decimal places. Now another way to do this, besides going to the f of x button, you're going to put an equal sign, you're going to write the word round. You're going to use some brackets. You're going to click on that value that you want to round, so you'll get the cell reference there. You put a comma, and then you put 2, which is the number of decimal places you need, close parenthesis, equal sign, and then you get 0.04. This is the rounded value of this number here to 2 decimal places. So to get the other numbers, you highlight, go to the bottom right corner, double click, and there you got your numbers rounded to 2 decimal places. Now we can, instead of copying or autofill as we used before, we can do it this way. You can put an equal sign, round. This time you're going to use 2 opening brackets. Now for the inside one, you highlight cell reference, all the numbers. You put a close brackets, so you close out for the inner set. You put a comma, 2 decimal places, and you close the final set of parentheses out. So looking at this again, you have the equal sign, round, the first set of open parentheses, second set, you highlight the range of numbers, the range of values, so you'd have a range of cells. Close the first group, first I mean the inner group. you put a comma, two decimal places, and you close the second set of parentheses, and you hit enter. So you have all the numbers rounded in one shot. And up here in the formula bar, you have the formula that we used. One of the most used calculation functions, sum function. We will use our demo data set to show the sum function how it is used. So let us head on over to Excel and take a look. This data set here is the result of a study that was done to examine how people viewed the risk associated with smoking. Now, it's a contingency table that's got along the horizontal, you have perceived risk with the categories of perceived risk as very harmful, somewhat harmful, not too harmful, and not harmful at all. And then vertically, you have the variable smoking status with three categories: current smoker, someone who used to smoke, and someone who never smoked. Now, for instance, this cell right here is the cross of these two categories, very harmful and current. So in other words, 60 people who currently smoke said that smoking was very harmful. Well, that's ironic. I guess it's not harmful enough to stop them from lighting up. However, let us now use this table to see how we can get the sum functions and use the sum of some of these columns and rows. So we're trying to find the totals, this column, which means how many totally considered smoking very harmful, how many considered it somewhat harmful, not too harmful, and not harmful at all. That's what this total here, which is the column totals. And then over here, we're trying to find the row totals. First row being how many current smokers were polled, how many former smokers, how many never smoked, and this is your row total column. So this is what we're trying to find. And there are several ways to get the sum. The first way, we highlight and we go up to the right upper corner. You see this sigma sign. Sigma is a summation sign. You click on the down arrow next to it and click on sum. And Excel will just put that sum down in the cell directly below your highlighted range. So you have a sum of 224. So we're going to get the sum of the second column, but this time we're going to use the equal sign. And right there, Excel has sort of anticipated what we're going to do. It's got the sum, and it has the D. It also has the range. You hit the tab, and it will give you the sum. The third way to get the sum is you highlight, and then you press the Alt button or the Alt key and the equal sign, and it gives you the sum in this cell right there. So let's do that again. Alt gives you the sum. Another way to get the sum of these other columns, once you have the first one, is to just highlight the sum cell, the summation cell. Put your cursor on the bottom right and just drag across, and that will copy the formula across the other columns, so you have the other three sums. Now let us do the sum of the rows. Let's do row 1. So let us use the auto sum. You highlight the range, you go to the sigma auto sum and click on sum, and that'll give you the sum. Excel will just put the sum value in the correct cell it's supposed to go into. And put the equal sign, you put sum, Now you give it the range, close parenthesis. So this is your sum. And then ort equal, and you get a 99 there as well. Or you can, as we did before, you can highlight the sum cell, go to the bottom right corner and drag it downwards, and you get the other two sum. One cell that's missing is right here. This is the grand total. The grand total is simply the sum of the sums, 294. You just highlight one of the sums and just drag it across that final column, which is the total column. So you have a 294, which means 294 people participated in the study totally. Well, this is how you use the sum function, and we're going to go on to look at the max and the min. In this section, we are going to find the highest and the lowest values of a range of values using the max and the min. This table shows the exam scores for 10 students in mathematics, science, English, and music. All scores are out of 100. We're going to find the highest, lowest, and average score in each subject area. Then we're going to find the total score for each student. We will begin by finding the highest or maximum score for mathematics. So we highlight cell B12, and again, we can do this a number of ways. We can put an equal sign and write the word max, or we can go to the function button and look for the maximum function. Let us write it in. So equal, and Excel has already anticipated that we're going to find the maximum and also anticipated the range of cells. When you see this, all you got to do is hit the tab, and that will give you the maximum. And then to find the maximum for science, English, and music, you highlight the math, you go to the bottom right corner and just drag it across. And here you have the maximum scores for all four subject areas. So let's do the minimum score now. So you go to cell B13, and this time let's use the f of x button. So you go to the f of x button, you click on it, statistical, and then you look for min. Min down here, you click on that, click on next. Number, this would mean the range of numbers. In other words, Excel is asking, what do you want me to find the min for? So you highlight the range of numbers. Remember not to highlight the 74 because that's a max. So this is your range. You don't need a number or two, so you just click on insert. 48 is the min score for mathematics. And then to find the minimum score for the other subjects, you just drag it across. Now let's find the average. Let us go up to the f of x. And since we're with statistical, average will be right on top. So you click on average, you click on next. And for number, again, you give it the range. Insert. Average will be 61.1. That's the mathematics average. And then you just drag this across to get the average for the other subject areas. So here you have it. You have the maximum score, the minimum score, and then the average score. Now let us get the total scores or the semester total for each student. To do this, use the sum function. So equal sum. Again, Excel has anticipated us. So you hit the tab, and the total will be 282 for student 10. So you just double click and you have the total for the other students. But then the final two values will be the total for the max. So we just need the student totals, not for max and min and all that. So this is the end of our video on functions, and we'll see you in the next video.